All right, Trial Mob, Happy New Year's. Depending on what time you're watching this episode at, I'm pretty sure you're either already in the New Year's or you'll be celebrating it tonight like myself. So what would a New Year's be without an absolute, basically, dump from Joytoy of everything they're going to be getting in? So we're going to be talking about all of that. I'm going to have to break it up into at least 2 different segments. Maybe you'll see a third one. As you know, as you can probably tell right now, I am a bit sick. I'm getting over a cold. But I wanted to bring you guys some of the news anyway, because there's just too much to cover, and if I don't do it now, it's going to take me probably 3 weekends to get there. So let's go ahead and break it down. Today we're going to be speaking about specifically, or should I say in this episode, we're going to be speaking about the new Joytoy Warhammer 40k releases, covering the Crimson Slaughter and the Red Corsairs. So this is some really cool stuff coming our way. But before I break that down, I wanted you guys to at least take a look at this photo right here. By all means, screenshot it, take a look at it. This is basically everything that they are going to be giving us in the early year. All the figures that we're seeing here, as you can tell, there are 4, 8, 11. So basically 11 new ones since that Necron video. So they've been busy and they have been bringing us a lot of stuff. And we're going to talk about all of it. But like I said, let's start off with the Warhammer 40k announcements. So if you guys remember, I posted a basically roadmap of what Joytoy and Warhammer were going to be putting out together. And we knew that at some point they were going to be giving us these basically Black Legion, but in red. We've found out now that there are specifically Crimson Slaughter and Red Corsairs. Basically, we're getting 2 of the Crimson Slaughter, 1 of the Red Corsair. The Red Corsair is the one that's basically red and black, and then the red and gold ones are the Crimson Slaughter. So there are obviously, these are basically just repaints of what we've gotten before with a little bit of a mix and match of some of the other items. So I do like it. I do understand their reason behind doing more of a repaint than trying to go for brand new sculpts. And lore-wise, this is technically accurate. A lot of these figures do look, or I should say a lot of these Chaos Space Marines probably do overlap in the way that they look. And of course, once we start getting other figures that are more important, that's when we'll get, figures that look a bit more unique. But for the most part, I do think these guys look really nice. I already like the way that the Black Legionnaires look, and this red paint that they have on them just really takes it to another level for me. Again, I will say that the Black Legion stuff on its own is probably a bit more lore accurate, but I wouldn't necessarily say that this is inaccurate, but I love the way it looks. It doesn't seem that they've updated any kind of tooling on it in terms of any new joints. So I've never owned any of these. I know some of you guys have. So basically, whatever it is that you guys have right now, this is exactly what we're going to be getting. Now, luckily, I think the Black Legion bucks are pretty solid the way they are. They were obviously different from the regular Primaris Space Marine stuff. So even though we're not getting necessarily 2.0 bodies, I don't necessarily think these are all that bad to begin with, especially for the way that they overall look, which again, it feels accurate to the lore. And again, these guys do look nice. I think the red paint looks great. Again, it's not necessarily different retooling. It's more so a mix and match of previous figures. And I think it's not a bad way to do it. They look great. The red makes them pop a lot. I like the gold. I mean, the Black Legionnaires also have gold on them, but red and gold always looks really awesome. Go Niners. And just like the Black Legion before them, these guys are going to be painted very nicely. And they're going to have, the skulls on them, the chains, all the different weathering effects. I mean, again, I said this before when I spoke about the Black Legion. These guys look incredible, and they just ooze with a whole bunch of just personality. They don't look as vanilla as the Primaris do. These guys have a lot of character to them. And so, adding a coat of red to them or a mix and match of black and red just keeps going with the motif that these guys are probably some of the more better aesthetically pleasing figures that Joytoy has put out from anything that's basically a Space Marine. Now, switching over to our other Legionnaire, this right here is our Red Corsair. So again, this guy is a mix and match of the other figures we've gotten before, of course. But on top of that, he's kind of a mix and match of his body color. So we have kind of that original Black Legion head, sort of the pauldrons and in the legs as well, but then we have that Crimson Slaughter style splash of red in the bottom of the body, at the top of the torso, and in the basically the the backpack and the pauldrons. So a lot of a mix and match here, but I looked them up. This is exactly what they look like. This is exactly what their paint color looks like. So this technically is, again, very lore accurate. Nothing to see here that is out of the ordinary. Now, this leading red pauldron that we see here is not new. We've seen it before. It's basically all black before, now it's just all red. But something about it being all red with the spikes makes it look like a brand new piece. And of course, the black with the white studs on the pauldrons, that definitely gives it a more newer look. Again, we've seen it before, and this guy has a whole bunch of personality and looks. We've seen this axe before, the knife in the background, but I don't care, man. This just looks really good. I love the red that they've added to these figures. It's the same thing with the Primaris Space Marines. You look at the Blood Angels, and all their Blood Angel counterparts just look better in that red. Now, of course, for the most part, my guys and my girls at Joytoy, they don't skimp on any details. So even behind, we get to see, the big skull. I want to know what set this big skull backpack is from, because I don't quite remember who this is from, but it's definitely not the standard Black Legionnaire. It must be one of the other figures, the Eviscerators or whatever it is that they're called. I do like the way it looks. Again, from whichever angle you're looking at these guys, they look great. Now, our third guy definitely has a really nice look to him. Again, this is definitely a character that we've seen before, but I kind of like the fact that they could have gone with the more squared out feet. I like that they gave him that more, what are they called? Talons? I forget what they're called, but basically the feet that has the 3 studs at the very bottom that basically look like talons. I like this look a lot. This guy probably looks a bit more unique in that sense, and thanks to that, he kind of has more of that unique feel to the character maybe than the other two, but at the same time, this is just basically a repaint, mix and match with some other figures that they've basically put together that we haven't necessarily seen these combos before. Again, not a big problem with it. Lore accurate, looks great. Probably will buy this time around since I didn't buy the other guys, but we'll see. Now, I'm not sure if it's the hair, maybe it's the color, maybe it's the chains, but just something about this guy makes him kind of my favorite one altogether. I think this is probably the best mix and match. I like the fact that he has the hair up top that's also kind of like a reddish brown color. It really just goes together with the rest of the figure. And plus, he's got a plasma gun and a chainsaw. Damn, this guy's badass. I like all of these guys a lot. And again, the red makes them look really nice. I think this one would definitely be my favorite. If I have to only buy one, I really wish he came with an axe, but hey, I will take this guy. But again, it is really nice to see that Joytoy and Warhammer are allowing for other figures to come out. I do hope that we get unique sculpts in the future, of course. That would be the best way to do these figures, right? Because if you Google right now what the Crimson Slaughter look like and the Red Corsairs, you will find a few photos where they basically look like Black Legionnaires, right? But it is really nice to hopefully get something that's unique like that. But in the meantime, just getting these repaints that have been at least repacked differently so that you're not the exact same character, I appreciate that as well. And I understand the business aspect of why Joytoy would need to do that. So, kudos to them to trying to bring us something new. Hopefully this means that because these guys are going to be basically repaints and reshuffles, that the price point might be a little bit closer to a more affordable price. We have seen basically Joytoy figures going down in price. I don't know if that's because of a favorable US dollar and who else that might affect, but hopefully because, again, these guys are some of the first just straight repaints that we're getting. Hopefully that means a more accessible price point, which might make them a little bit more alluring to some of you who want Chaos Space Marines.